Greetings everyone. This is Rise Up 15. Victory into God's rest. It's so important, yet so many of us give it so little thought in today's world. Well, it comes from a Greek word called katipausis, and rest speaks of intermission from labor, refreshment, to lie down and rest, to be refreshed in one's spirit, peace, quietness, loosening, relaxation, freedom, to be silent. Just listen. Hear the wind and the birds, the water lapping on the shore. Let's read Hebrews 4:8-12.
For if Joshua had given them rest, God would not have spoken of another day later on. So then, there remains a Sabbath rest for the people of God. For whoever has entered God's rest has also rested from his work, as God did from his.
Now this passage comes as a warning for some of us who get so caught up in work and activities that there's no time to rest, to spend time resting and hearing the Lord's still small voice. And if we cannot hear him, how can we obey him? And suddenly people can find themselves walking on their own strength instead of on God's strength. You see, God's still small voice carries great strength.
Hebrews 4 verses 1 and 2. Therefore, while the promise of entering his rest still stands, let us fear lest any of you should seem to have failed to reach it. For the good news came to us just as to them, but the message they heard did not benefit them, because they were not united by faith with those who listened.
Studying these verses shows us the practical and the spiritual results when we enter into his rest. It is only in resting in God that we are quiet enough to hear his still small voice. Then we can obey him. And if we've heard him, we will then have faith to obey him. If we obey him, we can also rest in him, even in difficult situations. I remember being stranded in a hotel in Nigeria for 3 days. The pastor had gone to change money and I didn't see him for 3 days. I tell you, I had no money, no phone, no internet, no contact with the outside world. I had not even paid the hotel bill. But I rested in God. And I prayed. And on the third day, God answered. And the pastor came. Everything was sorted. And we could resume our journey. So in that adverse situation, I learnt to rest in God and to trust him for a good outcome. If in our weakness we allow God to work through our lives, it will be so much more effective than trying to do it in our own strength. God's strength is so much greater than our strength. His ways are doing things so much more efficient than our ways. When I came back from Africa the last time, I wasn't feeling too good, and I landed up in the Oxford Hospital. And I prayed about this. You see, I'd been going to countries and spending 10 days per country doing a lot of evangelism. I'd come back exhausted. The Lord said to me, "Wait on me. I have a better way." And so I did wait on him. And he showed me a better way. That of speaking on radios. Well, it's grown through the last 5 years. And now I'm able to connect to 3 radio stations at once. We can do this with today's technology. And it's effective. This morning I spoke to 3 radio stations in Sierra Leone. And the results is we are reaching millions of people instead of 200 or 300 at a time. Time is short. The Lord is coming back very, very soon. And then last year, November last year, I had a dream. And the Lord said, "I want you to put your teachings up on YouTube." Well, I wasn't too happy about that because I know nothing about computers, certainly nothing about editing. The next morning I had a phone call. It was one of our partners. And she said, "Has God just given you a new assignment?" I said, well, not really, except I had a dream last night. She says, "That's it. I also had a dream that the Lord had just given you a new project, and I was to give you certain money I had collected to equip you for this new job because you have no equipment at the moment." And I thought about it. Yes, I don't have any equipment for editing and filming. She says, "I'm putting the money in your bank right now." I wasn't so sure how I was going to honor this. But the next day, I have another phone call. It's a fellow evangelist. He says, "I need accommodation for a month or 2 before I go to Africa. Could you spare me a room?" I said, "Well, the only room we've got is a very small room next to the kitchen, and I'm afraid you'd have to go through the kitchen to use your shower, toilet and sink." He says, "That's fine. Please, can I come now?" I said, "Okay, come." And he came. Guess what? He knew all about editing, and he taught me how to edit. And so now I'm able to put up these programs on YouTube and Facebook. And the results are absolutely amazing because our evangelists and pastors overseas are downloading from YouTube, putting this stuff on their sticks and posting them out into all the remote villages where there's no internet, but they're able to connect it to their computers and show it to thousands of people. Yes, maybe only 15 in a group, but if you count up 15s, it's a lot of people. And then the churches, and then the Bible schools. I never knew that God was going to use this in such an effective way. And that is because I spent a little while resting in Him and hearing His voice for His next project before He comes back in His second return. The Lord's way is so much more effective than our ways. And when we learn to rest in God and hear His voice, we will never again neglect resting in Him. For His ways are so much higher than our ways. His thoughts so much higher. And when we yield to Him in total and complete joyful trust and hear His voice and obey His word, He achieves in and through our lives far more than we could ever think or imagine. Well, this is the 15th part of Rise Up, and I want to now share with you something special. A special little message in song to you from VineSong. God bless you. Remember, God loves you so much.
The Lord bless and keep you, and make his face shine upon you, and be gracious unto you. The Lord lift up his countenance upon you, and give you peace. The Lord bless and keep you, and make his face shine upon you, and be gracious unto you. The Lord lift up his countenance upon